Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be creating our own gingerbread cookies. The first thing you're going to do is trace the shape of a cookie onto your paper. Now Mrs. Walker may have already done this for you, but if I haven't done it for you, you're going to take the tracer and you're going to lay it on your paper and take your crayon and trace around the outside until you get all the way back to the other side, and then you're going to give that to the next person so they can do it. But for this one, Mrs. Walker has already traced it. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you need to cut along the line, and I want you to do your best kindergarten cutting. I want you to try to get right on the line and stay right on that line and cut all the way around until you get to the end and he is all the way cut out. Now, I don't know if we've talked about scissors yet. Hopefully we've talked about scissors yet, but let's just review. How do we hold the scissors? I hope you said that there's a big oval space for our fingers and a round circle space for our thumb. Okay, and then when you're cutting, you have your cutter hand, that's the one holding the scissors, right? And you have your helper hand. This is my helper hand. It's going to hold the paper, and it helps me by turning the paper as I'm cutting. Okay, I'm just cutting around, and when you get in here, you got to kind of slow down, and your scissors really shouldn't turn, your paper should turn. So I'm turning my paper as I'm slowly closing the scissors. I'm just using the scissor hand to open and close and open and close, and I'm using my helper hand to turn the paper as I'm opening and closing it so that I can get my gingerbread cookie cut out. Okay, Mrs. Walker is almost done. Sitting right on that nice little brown line, or you may have a black line if you use the black crayon. Okay, and when you're all done, we're gonna throw this into the recycling or the garbage can, depending on which building we're at here. Okay, throw that paper away. And then we're going to give our cookie a face. Okay, so you get to think about, what do I want my cookie to be doing? Do I want him to be smiling? Do I want him to be with his eyes closed? Do I want him to kind of wink at me with one eye open, one eye closed? Do I want him to have a silly face or a happy face? You get to decide. Okay, I think I'm going to have my cookie just being very happy, so I'm going to make two eyes, and I think I want mine to have just a curved nose like this. Nope, maybe I'm going to make it like this. You know, if I was making this in the kitchen, I would probably be using raisins or chocolate chips for that, so I might actually just pretend like that's what I'm doing. I'm going to make mine smiling just like this. I'm going to pretend like I'm putting little pieces of like mini chocolate chips and large chocolate chips on mine. Okay, so I've got my face. Oh, I think I want it to have eyelashes. I'm going to get eyelash there. That's optional. You don't have to do that. All right, when you're done with that, Mrs. Walker has pre-cut some little strips of paper that you can use for frosting. So if you want to put some frosting on yours, just measure about where you think it would be, snip it, and glue it down. All right, I might do a few measurements here and get a few cut out, and then I'll glue them. So I've got to make some decisions. I think I might put two here, one there, and maybe two here. There. Now, could I put them across the middle? I could put them anywhere I want, right? I could put them here. I could make them have like a little coat on, and this could be like the zipper area. And I could make this go like two directions. I could cut a small piece this way and a small piece that way if I wanted. Anything's possible, right? And then you're going to want to glue those down. I'm not going to glue them down right now because well, actually I probably should. Let me grab my glue bottle. Okay, I want to talk about the glue bottle again. Remember, if we're using the glue bottle with the red cap, which I'm pretty sure we will be, this one we don't open. We just push that little tip in against the table and it lets the glue come out. If yours doesn't come out right away, remember to let your glue run all the way down, and then maybe sometimes, now this one has been wiped off really good, so I don't have to pick anything off, but you may have to pick some dried glue off. Okay, and then remember, you're just going to push, dot, dot, dot. Look at all those dots I already got on there. Can you see them? Yeah, and then stick it down. And then the same thing with this one. You do dot, 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 dot. Stick it down. Dot, 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 dot. Flip it over. And then Mrs. Walker has cut out, punched out actually, some circles for buttons. So you can use those to give your gingerbread cookie some buttons if you like. And if you choose to use these for buttons, you will probably want to take and put some dots in the middle of them. I think the dots make them look more like buttons. I'm going to do 4 buttons. I like those. So if you take your marker and you put 4 dots in here, it's going to look more like a button. Okay, some buttons only have 2 holes. I'm going to put 4 holes in mine because I like the way that looks. Okay, and then glue those down. Now the last thing, oh, not the last thing, another thing we're going to add is a bow. And if your bow, you're going to be tracing and cutting out your bow on whatever color paper you want. So Mrs. Walker, oops, there goes my glue. Mrs. Walker will have an assortment of paper, and you can pick whatever color you think would look best on yours. I think I'm going to match my bow to my buttons. I think I'm going to use this one. And Mrs. Walker has some little tracers that look like this. You're just going to lay that on your paper. Take your pencil or your black crayon. I think I'm going to use a black crayon just because it's easier. And trace around. Easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. There we go. And you're going to cut that out. Again, careful cutting. Right on that black line. See how I'm using my helper hand to turn the paper, and all my scissor hand is doing is just open and close. And then I'm going to put the glue on this side so that you can't see my black lines. I think it looks prettier this way. Now you could put this bow anywhere you want. If you could put it right here, you could put it in their hair, you could put it on the side. I'm going to put it right there. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to put my glue on the back side here. Dots of glue, and there we go. Now you don't have to do this, but I think the bow looks better if you show where the middle of the bow is. So there's the middle of the bow, and sometimes when the bow is crinkled up, there's some little diagonal lines in here, like where it would be all crinkly there. Okay. That. Now, lastly, you may have time for this and you may not. Mrs. Walker will let people who have all their other stuff done do this if they want to. I have some hole punchers, and you have leftover paper. So if you and a friend, if you want to share a piece of this with a friend, just take your paper and maybe take some of their paper. If they share, maybe they share some of theirs and you have some of yours, you can take the hole puncher and you poke, take this, you poke the paper right in between those two, and you can just punch some sprinkles to put on your frosting. So I know when I bake cookies, I'm going to punch a few of these colors too. When I bake cookies, I like to put sprinkles on the frosting. So if you want to do that, you can do some sprinkles for yours. Oops, got to get it in the right place there or it won't work. And this is good practice for hole punching, right? Learning how to do that. I kind of wish I had some purple. Maybe I need to share with a friend who has some purple paper, right? Since I have purple buttons, I kind of want purple sprinkles too. Actually, I probably need some other colors in there. I should probably mix it up. All right, so once you have your sprinkles, don't do too many because you got to get them glued down. These will go to waste if we don't get them glued down, won't they? Once you have some punched out and you're ready to go, dot on your frosting and then stick your sprinkles down onto your dots. Doesn't that look delicious? Looks good enough to eat, doesn't it? All right, and then when you're all done, or when you run out of time, because some of you are going to run out of time and you won't get to do the sprinkles here, but if you run out of time or you're all done, it needs to go on the drying rack, okay, because we've got all this glue on here. All right, good job, have fun. Oops, there went my phone.